here from the Access to Industry media team to film the EOEF Conference.
I've worked in and out prison for 40 years. I still don't know the purpose. It might be something about keeping people off the streets. It might be allegedly about rehabilitating people. I'm unsure really, and I think our society is unsure what the purpose of prison is.
All governments across Europe are thinking about how best to use money that they currently spend on prisons. It's a very expensive way of dealing with people who've committed crime. It's up to people like us, I think, to try and give governments alternatives that would help them make decisions, which means that you don't have to use prisons and you can use more constructive alternatives.
Every society benefits from a reduction in reoffending, and what makes the most successful insurance policy to stop reoffending? Somebody has a job, and a job that they value, and they see that others value them doing that job.
We don't do our work in the community to gain publicity or because we feel pressured to do anything. We want to do it because it makes a difference to people's lives.
We're going to deliver a session and hopefully look at some of the barriers that offenders experience, as to accessing employment.
I think if there's a message, it's probably that they're not a group to cut out of people's recruitment.
I think one of the messages that needs to come across is that the value of things like volunteering, long-term volunteering, and also thinking about employment in different areas, things such as agriculture and conservation and those sort of things, rather than just trying to push people into industry.
A lot of the people think because we're ex-offenders, we're no good, you know what I mean? But give them a chance and you'll probably get better employees than what you get after somebody else.
We're attracting external money from investors. They're putting money through us down into the service providers who deliver the interventions to the service users. Some will reoffend, but for those that don't, the government makes a saving. And if the reduction is significant, then the money goes back to the investors.
People offend, we send them to prison, we release them saying that they're rehabilitated, and if they're rehabilitated, I think that once they come out, they should be on an even playing field.
We've been able to roll out an information technology system into prisons that offenders can use in prison to learn from, and the associated challenges with that. There is enormous interest in IT systems. The virtual campus, I think, is going to be rolling out across Europe.
Well, you can give them access to your site from any locations. You can give mentoring without actually sitting down one-to-one, so if the person needs mentoring immediately, you can do that immediately.
Debemos de luchar todos los países en implicarnos en que todas las personas que están privadas de libertad podamos colaborar en su integración y que ese periodo de privación le pueda servir a ellos y a ellas.
Whereas before, in prison, you're just left in your cell. They're now trying to put education into it, they're trying to get employment into it, they're getting life coaches into it to help people address their issues.
So instead of just closing the door and turning the key and forgetting about the person, this way here, if we work with them in the community, they're less apt to reoffend.
Very often there are health issues involved, there are drug and alcohol issues involved, and that really if you remove some of those, then there wouldn't be offending behaviour going on. We're really working on a one-to-one basis with people 6 months prior to release, and then having that same worker pick up on the outside. I think that's why we're successful at reducing reoffending rates.
A lot of the characteristics of good practice are pretty well established, and there are things like trusted relationships with clients, there are things like early intervention, there are things like holistic support. I think a lot of the stuff that works we know about. It begs questions about why we're not doing more of it.
We're all in the same situation, no matter if I'm in America or Europe or the UK or wherever. That's what I've learned from this conference, is that everybody seemed to have the same issues. There's some wonderful things that are happening here, and I think that I'll try to incorporate that there.
Fundamentally, we want to look at the conference to help us improve our work with offenders into employment.
We went out on a project visit this morning to Craigie Farm, and there was quite a number of items of work they were doing out there that I could see transferred to my neck of the woods.
In prison there are really well-educated offenders and there are the not so well-educated offenders, and I think that when we're talking about jobs and getting them into employment, we need to get them to stretch themselves. So we shouldn't only be talking about getting them into cleaning jobs and say mundane jobs. We should be getting them to really stretch themselves and aim for careers. Yeah. Something that they could really make a future with.
I think basically there needs to be a greater public awareness about the link between getting people into work and stopping reoffending and giving people that second chance.
I sometimes think that actually we're all offenders, just some of us happen to have been caught and convicted and prosecuted and labelled an offender, and it's getting that message across that an offender, that's one moment in their life or a few moments of their life in offending, they've actually still got something quite valuable to contribute to society, contribute to the workforce, feel a valued part of the communities in which they live in.
Prisoners and offenders come from our communities, they're going back to our communities. The overwhelming majority have learned their lesson and want a chance to be all they can be, and if we provide them with that opportunity, they'll not just improve themselves, they'll improve our community and improve our country.
I thank you for your work to improve the employability and social reintegration of prisoners and ex-offenders.
In an event like this, everybody gets very enthusiastic, expectations are high. The test is what happens after this. There is an opportunity now for all organisations working in this field to really show what can be done to help provide a good alternative to prison that the community will think is a good idea, and that's, I think, the main message I want to send out from the conference.
There's a lot of people from different countries, but everybody's very friendly and willing to talk to you, and that sometimes is not always the case.
It was only a few weeks ago that I got involved with access to industry transition, and prior to that I could probably say that for a good few years I hadn't even engaged my brain, you know. This has just been a whole different ballgame, you know. I thought I would come for the first day and get chucked out after the first day, you know, but it's been brilliant, it is.
I've learned practically how to use a camera. I've also learned how to interview skills. I've also learned how to mingle with a different class of people. We were here at the City Chambers in Edinburgh at a conference with people from all over the world, so I've learned to mingle and integrate and interview people successfully and confidently. Just the fact that it's boosted my confidence and gave me some belief in myself is enough for me to believe that I can go down now any avenue in the future and I would be successful at it and be able to set myself goals and achieve them.